Hello, good morning. So I'm James Harvey Maceda, and I accomplished to finish all the Python course in Codecademy. I decided to finish the Python course because this has been my weakness for a long time. So here, let me share my screen and let me show you my progress. Here's my account. So first, let me give you a quick recap of all the lessons in Codecademy. First is the Python syntax. So through this activity, I was introduced to Python. I've learned that the given syntax were the set of rules to run a Python program. I didn't have much problem in this section because I'm only being taught by the fundamentals of Python. Next is the tip calculator. In this section, the activity is focused to get a percentage of a number. Let's say 2% of 100. I can say that these techniques are very useful. Unit 2, Strings and Console Output. This lesson introduced what is strings, the different fundamentals of string methods, and what is the use of prints. I can still follow and didn't encounter much problems in this. I carefully read the lessons and follow the instructions. Date and time. I've learned through these lessons how to input dates, hours, seconds, or anything that involves time. But I think that the more important lesson that I learned is how to extract certain things to a given. It is really useful. Next, conditionals and control flow. So from here, it starts to get a little complicated. On this lesson, I learned a bunch of things. The ifs, else, and elif statements, or conditions, are a bit confusing when joined to Boolean operators. Luckily, I still remember our lessons in Boolean operators and I have ideas about the set conditions. Next is pyglotin. So in this lesson, I apply the things I learned in the past lessons and starts to play with strings and other syntaxes. I remember I had a hard time to find what are the exact words and the exact order to type in order for me to run the codes. There are some activities that I tried multiple times. Unit 4 functions. Now it really starts to be complicated. Okay, so from this lesson I was introduced to functions. I really got confused, especially in the latter part. I really need to remember the past lessons and the basics for me to follow. Still, some problems I encountered are the proper orders of the codes, indentions, colons, parentheses. Every word should be correct. I often get error on lines because of this. Taking a vacation. So this lesson is actually a whole activity divided into parts. This activity is really challenging. The ifs, else, and elifs conditions joined by the Boolean operators once again. So Unit 5, Python lists and dictionaries. In this lesson, I was introduced to the list. It's quite easy at first, extracting something from the list, but as you go through the activities, I got confused between lists and dictionaries. It also took me some time to understand the for loop. Of course, the lesson A Day at the Supermarket. This activity, things go smooth until I got to activity number 8. So here, let me show you. Okay, so first I got my codes correctly, as you can see. But then there was this error that is stressing me out, saying that there is something wrong with the orange. So I checked my code, but it seems right to me. It was modify my code and think what should be the problem. It was more than 30 minutes. I was doing that for more than 30 minutes and I can't move on because of this part. I started to read forums in the Code Academy, and many students are facing the same problem. I also got some tips. I looked for the codes that work and its difference to my codes. What I saw is there was an S before the prices. So before, this is the correct code already. Before there was an S in there. So when I removed it, I thought that it would be okay already. But the error on the orange keeps on appearing. So once again, I looked for the forums until I read someone saying to refresh the browser. I refreshed the browser for about 3 times and at last, the code works. Seriously, what happened in there? Moving on Unit 6, Student becomes the teacher. The title of this lesson fits the activities because I was asked to compute the grades of 3 students, their average, class average, and this part is complicated for me. Unit 7, List and Functions. Okay, list and functions together. I'm starting to get help in this lesson. There were some activities that I can't seem to find the right codes. Hints are not so useful or not useful at all. Oops, sorry for that. Okay, Unit 7 at Battleship. Okay, my first impression on this lesson was, wow, am I gonna play a game or something? But as I go through the lessons, there was no ships, no battle or whatever, just numbers. Still, it is a game. Anyway, I remember I got a problem at some parts of this. Of course, the codes again. I can't find the right format for it. This lesson is really confusing. These codes reach up to 47th line, and it is plenty of codes. Unit 8, Loops. So in loops, it helps to iterate informations quickly and while condition was introduced to me. It took me some time to understand the while condition because it is until I realized it is just like an addition to the condition of if, ifs, else, and ellipse. And the problems I encountered in this are finding the proper order of the codes. Practice makes perfect. So in these lessons, it seems I get back to math lessons, particularly in even numbers, odd numbers, prime numbers, and a bit of statistics, which is median. I guess it is preparing me to the next lesson, which is about statistics in Unit 9. So in Unit 9, it's full of statistics. So this lesson tackles how to solve averages, variance, and standard deviation. It seems easy as I have tackled this lesson in high school and in college plenty of times. However, proper order of codes once again has been my problem. Unit 10, Advanced Topics in Python. Okay, the following lessons in this are just I'm sorry. The following lessons are really complicated time, but majority of it just played the codes of the past lessons, joining joining list, functions, dictionaries, etc. together, just like this advanced topic on Python. Introduction to bitwise operators. On this lesson, the binary system and the AND, OR, and XOR operators were introduced. Luckily, I remember these lessons on MMS 140 and I managed to understand it. However, on the latter lessons, I find it complicated. Introduction to classes at Unit 11. So classes were introduced from these lessons wherein classes constructs a certain object or data containing its own data. The classes provided good features in programming in terms of objects. Classes lets you structure your program in a more orderly way. So classes. In this lesson, classes fundamentals were discussed into more complex function of classes. There are plenty of problems I encountered in typing the codes. They are often not in the right format, although I get the idea on how should I type it. And of course, The last lesson, file input and output. File input and output was easier to understand and its code is easier to know. With and us keywords were introduced to me. So in this lesson, there's not much code to type unlike the past lessons reaching 47 lines or more. I was actually able to somehow not to be stressed in this last lesson. Hello once again. Hope you're still there. So my very problem in accomplishing this course was the proper format of the codes. This has been my problem in the majority of the lessons. I managed to overcome them through following the instructions carefully and picking back to the lessons in case I forgot something. Understanding the very essence of the lesson is also a good way to overcome it. I also get ideas on the forums, especially in the hopeless errors like the error in the day at the supermarket. That lesson series. The whole activity was stressing for me because I really have a hard time in programming. It is not my passion, so I cannot find it enjoyable. Things, and it is important. I also like the feeling whenever I will be able to accomplish a certain lesson. I realize that you should not cram and must allot time to it because programming really consumes a lot of time, especially if you're a beginner. Following the instructions and coding are like solving math problems wherein you need to interpret it into mathematical operations. You need to get your code right in order for you to move on. So that's my journey in Codecademy Python. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm James Harvey, signing off.